In this video, we're going to talk about a word that is very common. However, it's also very rude. It's what we call a curse word or a swear word, which both just mean that most people consider it rude or offensive. But again, this word is also very common, so even if you decide that you don't want to use it yourself, you still do need to understand what it means. I'm Teacher Mike, and today we're talking about the word shit. You probably already know that we sometimes say shit by itself when something bad happens. For example, when we make a mistake, forget something, or receive bad news. You might also know that we sometimes say holy shit when something surprising or exciting happens. So today, we're focusing on some of the other ways that we use this word. But first, I want to be very clear about what I mean when I say that this word is rude. What I mean is basically that not everyone likes this word. Although some people use it all the time, other people think that it's very bad. Because of this, if you use this word in the wrong situations or with the wrong people, you're probably going to make people uncomfortable, and possibly make people think bad things about you. So before we begin learning how to use this word, I first want to say this. Do not use this word when speaking to children. Do not use this word when you are around children. Do not use this word when you are at work. And do not use this word with people who you do not know well. Basically, the only people who you should use it with are people who you have heard use it first. So, if your friend says shit when speaking to you, you can also say shit when speaking to them. But again, not if you are around children. And now, let's begin. One of the most common ways that we use this word is when talking about the brown stuff that comes out of your body when you sit on the toilet. Doctors usually call this feces or stool. Children often call it doo-doo, poo-poo, or caca. And adults generally call it poop. But adults also sometimes call it shit. For example, this morning while gardening, I stepped in dog shit. You can also use it as a verb. For example, we had to get out of the pool because someone shit in it. Also, for the past tense form of the verb, I just used shit. Shit, shit, shit. But you can also use shat. Shit, shat, shat. Up to you. Or you can say take a shit. For example, we stopped at the gas station so he could take a shit. Shit can also just mean stuff. Where did you put my shit? In that example, my shit just means my stuff, my things, or my belongings. But shit can also refer to non-physical stuff. For example, I have a lot of shit to do today. There's some shit we need to talk about. Or, Teacher Mike always teaches us useful shit. We also have the expression, shit happens, which is something that we say when something bad happens, especially when someone has made a mistake. It basically means, this type of thing happens sometimes. It's normal. Don't worry about it. For example, maybe your brother says something like, I'm sorry I forgot about your birthday party. You could reply, hey, don't worry about it. Shit happens. Or maybe your friend is at your house and accidentally breaks something. If they apologize, you could say, it's all good, shit happens. Like shit basically means very bad. And we usually use this one with linking verbs. Linking verbs are basically verbs that we use to connect a subject to an adjective. For example, the word taste. In the sentence, this tastes very good. But again, taste like shit does not literally mean that something tastes like poop. It just means that it tastes bad. Likewise, if someone says, I feel like shit, that just means I feel really bad. Or if someone says, you look like shit, that typically means that you look exhausted, sick, or hungover. And speaking of hangovers, we also have the term shit-faced, which means really drunk. For example, he got shit-faced last night and lost all of his stuff. And someone who is shit-faced might also talk a lot of shit. In the US, to talk shit means to say negative things about other people. For example, no one likes her because she's always talking shit about other people. But in the UK, talk shit often means to say things that are not true. For example, no one trusts him because he's always talking shit. I don't give a shit basically just means I don't care. For example, maybe you're in the car with your friend, and your friend asks, "Hey, do you mind if I smoke a cigarette?" If you don't mind, you can say, "No, I don't give a shit, go ahead." And although in that example we were being friendly, we can also use this when we're angry. For example, maybe your friend says, "Hey, you shouldn't do that because John is going to be upset." However, you really don't like John, and you don't care if he's going to be upset. You might say, "Man, I don't give a shit, f*** John." However, to give someone shit means to give them a hard time, or to criticize them. "Why are you always giving me shit?" That's like saying, "Why are you always criticizing me?" But saying no shit is like saying, "Yeah, I know that. That's obvious. Why are you telling me that?" So if someone tells you something that everybody already knows and you want to reply in a way that's rude, you can say, "No shit." However, this one is quite strong, so I really don't recommend saying it to anyone. If someone asks, "Are you shitting me?" this basically means, "Are you joking?" or "Are you serious?" However, we usually use "Are you shitting me?" to express that we are angry or annoyed. Maybe you take a day of vacation leave to go to a doctor's appointment, and on the day of the appointment you receive an email saying that your appointment has been canceled. My reaction would probably be, "What the f***? Are you shitting me?" You can also say, "You've got to be shitting me." This expresses the same emotions, it's just a statement instead of a question. When we say that something is bullshit, this can mean several different things. When talking about an action or something that someone did, it usually means unfair or not right. For example, maybe there's a new policy at your company, and you think it's really unfair. If you have a coworker who you're really close with, you might say, "This policy is bullshit." But when we're talking about information or something that someone said, then it usually means that we think the information is not true. So if someone tells you something that you're 100% sure is not true, you could reply, "No, that's complete bullshit." If someone says that something is the shit, that means that they think it's really good. For example, "This song is the shit. I love this song." Or if your friend asks you if you've ever heard of Teacher Mike, you could reply, "Yeah, Teacher Mike is the shit." But if we say that something is shitty, this means that we think it's really bad. For example, "I was in a shitty mood earlier today." "She had a shitty day yesterday." Or "The movie had a shitty ending." You can also say that someone or something is a piece of shit. When talking about things, this usually just means that they are low quality. For example, "The phone he uses is a piece of shit." But when talking about people, it means that they are a bad person. For example, "Her ex-boyfriend is a piece of shit." And when talking about places that are very bad, you might hear the term shithole. This usually means that the place is not well maintained, dirty, and unpleasant. For example, "The hotel we stayed at was a complete shithole." So yeah, those are some of the ways that we use the word shit. If you found this video useful and would like to learn more useful shit, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel.